The battlefield is set. The stakes are high. The only thing standing between you and victory? Nothing. Ascend to the pinnacle of gaming greatness with Lenovo Legion. Laptops, towers, and the new award-winning Legion Go, the world's first officially licensed handheld, powered by Steam OS. Legion relentlessly pushes gaming technology forward, with towers built for raw, untamed power, laptops with best-in-class AI tuning that sharpen your reflexes, and the Legion Go, a handheld for serious gaming on the go. Stay ahead with lightning-fast responsiveness on a stunning 16-inch PureSight display. Keep your cool with cold front thermal technology engineered for marathon sessions. And with all-day battery life, the game never stops until you say so. So check out Lenovo.com/Legion. Lenovo. Empowering creators everywhere.
Join us this Friday at Wild Bill's in Apple Valley for a Michelob Ultra Wolves watch party. Get there at 7 p.m. to watch your Timberwolves in action and to sign up for your chance to qualify for first-round playoff tickets this year. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 past. I'm the common man. He's Tennessee. Excited and delighted to be joined by Mike Welch, the tournament director of the 3M Open. Good to see you again, me boy.
Good to be here. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, good to have you in studio. You're here today because announcement made today. 3M Open was on the final year of a 7-year deal.
Correct.
This year. And, a lot of speculation. Are they going to renew? What are we going to do? And it's been announced that the Tour and 3M and the 3M Open, they've agreed to, a 5-year extension?
Correct. 5-year extension through 2030.
Through 2030. Pretty big news, right? Pretty exciting for everybody involved, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were talking before we came on air, whether you're a core golf fan like us who just loves the PGA Tour and loves core golf, it's here. But if you're not, and we talk about all this all the time, if you are a family, if you are somebody who just wants an event, this is one of the Minnesota events of the summer. And so we're just proud to have it here for another 5 years through 2030.
I think, we were discussing this as well. 3M, has been a great sponsor. They've wanted to keep the tournament here. But with where the PGA is and all the controversy about LIV and are those guys coming back or aren't they coming back? How strong will the fields continue to be? But now it looks like, and I don't know, like we talked about, I said, you want to talk about that? Yeah. And as you said, I don't know much more than anybody else, but it looks like something is going to happen eventually.
I think, for the folks who used to see here in 2019, 2020, 2021, at some point between now and the end of our new agreement in 2030, I do feel like you're going to see a lot of those same golfers. And the PGA Tour, as you know, is working really hard at getting this finalized. Everybody who sees the same notes that I do feels the same way, that at some point this will be back together. And even before then, as you and I were discussing, the level of talent, of young talent on the PGA Tour now is just so incredibly insane that a lot of these folks are becoming household names. So now you have them, you bring back some of the old guard, it just makes our event even stronger.
I was, for the longest time, I was never much of a early spring golf guy didn't watch it. I might watch Pebble Beach, watch Bill Murray line drive one into the ocean. But other than that, I was waited for the Masters. Last couple of years, I've been watching more. I've been decluttering my storage of all things. So last few weeks, been slowly but surely going through it. And I've been watching the West Coast Tour and now the first and on the Florida circuit. And you are seeing names. I mean, I was telling somebody said, a buddy of mine, common Bears fan, said, well, I'll wait for the big names to get back. I go, but some of these young guys can flat out. The Highsmith kid this weekend. I mean, they were talking about how he was the 9th player all time to make the cut on the number and win the event. He was absolutely astonishing. And obviously it was great tee to green, but they said, over the weekend, he didn't miss a putt over 10 feet. Anything inside 10 feet he made.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, Joe Highsmith is a great example, but even before that, to your point around how you're consuming golf earlier. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I work in the industry. I think a lot of that has to do with things like PGA Tour Live, our ability to, on our phone, be able to consume this content whenever we want, whether you're decluttering your garage or you're working in the office. So that's been great. So you have stories like Joe Highsmith, but then you have stories like Ludwig Aubert, who is one of the top golfers in the world. He was in the 3M Open 2 years ago. Nobody knew anything about him.
That's correct.
Now he's one of the top players in the world. And we have that every year at our tournament.
The Knapp kid, shoots a 59 on Friday, and he had it going for him, and then we just talked about it. It got away from him yesterday. He decided to play it from the water. Next thing you know, he's making a triple, go from the lead. You're done, and you're getting all sorts of people that are you're seeing new names come up all the time on the tour, and they're fun to watch. And one of the names I've been watching is Frankie Sappin III. Frankie from Minnesota originally. I think he spent some of his high school time out in in Arizona. But, a good friend of mine and yours as well, Craig Warrior, the master professional who teaches out of Edinburgh, USA, he's Frankie's swing coach. And watching Frankie play, he got his tour card finally, and he didn't make the cut this week, but he's made almost $300,000 so far on tour. So it's another guy who was out at the 3M Open last year.
Yep. I just texted Frankie last week. We talked about Pebble. He had his first experience at Pebble Beach and first experience at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I think these tournaments he grew up watching that now he's a part of, and so proud to represent the state of Minnesota. He'll be back again this year. He's already committed to our tournament, and so we're just excited about him and a number of others that are going to be there. He's been great.
Well, and Hollis Cabner, who owns the tournament, he's the one that's you and him and others are the brainchild behind this. But he does a really good job and has over the years of offering exemptions to people that maybe nationally aren't known, but people here locally. And I think, you know how we are in Minnesota. He's one of us.
Oh, yeah.
And so when Sappin's playing, or when Tom Lehman got an exemption to play, when, he's basically playing mostly Legends Tour stuff, he's playing here. And then, the Don Berries and the Stansberry and the Tentis, guys that we know and you see all the time locally get a chance to play. It's really nice to fill out the field with some of those sponsor exemptions like that.
Caleb Ben Aragon, Derek Kitchener. I think you're spot on. We will have this year a few of the high guys from PGA Tour University, no doubt filling our exemptions. But then you're right. There are so many incredible local talents here that are either in college right now or just getting done with college that need and deserve a chance, and we provide that opportunity for them. And it's a great local story. And you're right. I think Minnesotans love that localness.
What, again, in one of the event is scheduled this year for
July 21st to the 27th.
And that's just prior or just after
the British Open.
The Open Championship. And that's always presented, I wouldn't say major problems, but there are some of the very top names. Once especially now that the Open Championship's the last one of the year, they build and build and build, and they get there and then they go, man, I think I need a break. And so sometimes they don't play. But then others, they don't have Ryder Cup point or, FedEx Cup points. And all of a sudden it's like, I need to play. So, last year there were 8-10 big names out there that were playing that I was able to follow and enjoyed it quite a bit.
I think you're spot on. There's two things. The FedEx Cup points, like you mentioned, there's some changes. You have to now finish in the top 100 to keep your card. Last year was 125. So,
okay.
I was talking to somebody prior to this. If you're 85 to 110, you're playing, right? There's only one tournament after ours that you can get that card. And then you said Ryder Cup. This is a Ryder Cup year.
Yeah.
And so Ryder Cuppers who are not in that top 6 are guaranteed that they want to play our event so that they can show Captain Keegan Bradley, the ability that they want to be on that team. And so that's a big, big thing for us. No Olympics this year. When we announce tickets, Dan, on April 7th, we're going to have 3 or 4 names that we're going to announce right away that
Sweet.
I think fans will be like, ooh, I haven't seen them before. So we're excited about that.
I got a chance to boo Kuchar. Of course, you're really not booing him, but I just love that people. I love doing that to people. Why are they booing him? But I got to watch Kuch last year, and he played well. There was Tony Finau was really good. I mean, there was a lot of really, really good play out there. A lot to do before the tournament. You got the build out that you have to do. Yeah, when does that start?
May 4th.
Yeah, so May 4th. That's how long?
It's 11 weeks.
11 weeks where they start building almost a small little city there. As Paul Peterson likes to say, Ping Guy, one of my co-hosts for Tee to Green, it's like circus comes to town. You put the tent up. circus ends, and then you leave down and you go to the next city. You still looking for volunteers? Do you need volunteers?
Yeah,
yet?
we do. I appreciate that. I mean, it takes 1,500 volunteers to put our tournament on every year. We've had an incredible response this year, which I'm super grateful for, but we're halfway there. So, you can go to 3mopen.com/volunteer, log on right there. It's $80 to volunteer, but again, you get the hat. This year, we're doing a full 3/4 zip as well as a shirt plus a ticket anytime you don't volunteer. So it's a great rate, great opportunity, and you get to see a lot of golf when you're not volunteering.
What are some of the volunteer jobs? What's out there for people?
There's a number of two things.
You can't caddy for anybody.
You
right?
can't, unless you're really, really special.
Right.
Corporate hospitality. So like you can, scan tickets, help out in those corporate hospitality areas, and then also, it's called gallery management, but it's really marshals.
Right.
You raise your hand, you go find the loose ball in the rough and put the little flag down to signify to Matt Kuchar, hey Cooch,
right.
We're not booing you. You hit your ball right here. So those are two opportunities that are really prevalent that we need help for still.
Yeah, and so if people are interested in, tickets, volunteering, any information on 3M.
3mopen.com.
That's it.
That's it, my friend.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in, and congratulations on that 5-year extension. That's
Appreciate
really good.
you.
And we'll be broadcasting live from there the Saturday before the event. So Saturday, and then tournament week is Monday through Sunday. And we'll be back there again on Saturday, our last tee to green of the year. Take a break, come back with more here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
During tax season, your sensitive info does a lot of traveling to places you can't control. Stopping off at payroll, your accountant or tax preparer, and countless other data centers on its way to the IRS. Any of them can expose you to identity theft because they all have the info on your W-2, just the ticket for criminals to steal your identity. No wonder the IRS reported tax fraud due to identity theft went up 20% last year. You need LifeLock. They monitor millions of data points per second and alert you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialists will fix it, backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. And restoration is guaranteed, or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Get LifeLock protection for tax season and beyond. Join now and save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
The battlefield is set. The stakes are high. The only thing standing between you and victory? Nothing. Ascend to the pinnacle of gaming greatness with Lenovo Legion. Laptops, towers, and the new award-winning Legion Go, the world's first officially licensed handheld, powered by Steam OS. Legion relentlessly pushes gaming technology forward, with towers built for raw, untamed power, laptops with best-in-class AI tuning that sharpen your reflexes, and the Legion Go, a handheld for serious gaming on the go. Stay ahead with lightning-fast responsiveness on a stunning 16-inch PureSight display. Keep your cool with cold front thermal technology engineered for marathon sessions. And with all-day battery life, the game never stops until you say so. So check out Lenovo.com/Legion. Lenovo. Empowering creators everywhere.
It's tourney time, and you can watch all the state championship action on 45 TV or by downloading the KSTP app on your smart TV. Or head over to our contest page for your chance to win all sessions tickets for this week's boys hockey tournament to catch the action in person. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter.
So, Kenna, you just sent me this not long ago. It's a screenshot of a tweet from Fox Sports. It says, how about that, at Jimmy Johnson? Congratulations, Coach. Thank you. And all the best from your at Fox Sports and at NFL on Fox family as you set sail into retirement. Is this breaking news, or is this Mark Rose and Lou Nanny breaking news that's a year old? Was Jimmy planning to retire? Or did you, because I don't remember hearing it during the season.
It's the first I've heard of it,
yeah.
But I'm not necessarily keeping tabs on Jimmy Johnson.
Nor am I.
I mean, I've heard of the press conference before, the Jimmy Johnson news conference.
Right, correct. So, and aren't there rumors that, I mean, if you've watched Bradshaw, he'll start, I think he might be next to go. He's if you watch his performance the last year or two, especially this past season, he'll be, he always does the halftime highlights. He narrates them. Sounds like sometimes he's calling the wrong game even. Like he's doing highlights for Detroit, Green Bay, and they're showing Washington and Philadelphia. That's how bad it actually gets. And he just gets to kind of rambling on and on and on. And it almost seems like sometimes Menifee's got to try to intervene or interject to try to get him back on task, because sometimes he's just, and I love him. We love us some Terry Bradshaw, but it's starting to get to the point where I think he's going to have to go out to the great. He's going to have to be put out to pasture as well. Any word on who they're going to? Is it going to be Gronk?
Well, they've already had Gronk in as is it a fifth or a sixth person now?
So I wonder if they'll add to that or if they'll just.
I'm not sure Gronk has a whole lot to add though. Other than
I don't think he
personality,
does.
Yeah,
I don't think he does. Much like they tried Sean Payton for a year. And, of course, he went back into coaching. And maybe he was always going to go back into coaching, and that was just a 1 year for him, something to do. But he was, at least the way I saw it or heard it, I didn't think he was. He didn't have a whole lot to offer either. It was sort of like he had about as much to offer to the broadcast as I do when it comes to talking hockey, right? It's just not there. And so, but I
have the solution.
What would that be?
Just let the NBA TNT guys just do the football stuff.
Well, they can do football. They might be.
It's not that hard to talk about football. It's not like they're telling you anything. They're like, oh, I didn't think about that. They need to run the ball and be good on third downs.
Speaking of basketball, Wolves got back on the winning. They did on the winning side. They beat
Phoenix.
They beat the Suns. I was reading. It's funny. Every town, basically, I bet you can have almost identical quotes from every team in any league when they lose. Hearing from Durangelo and some of the other guys about, I just didn't seem like we were trying, just couldn't get anything going. It's the same thing. They all have the same responses. The Wolves just destroyed the Suns. Ant came back with a vengeance. Did he have 40 plus?
44.
Yeah, 44.
Playing Kevin Durant gets him going.
Yeah, I think that does. Get him going. And Randall, was that his first game back? And he was pretty good. I think he had 20. I don't know how many boards and assists he had, but he played pretty well. DiVincenzo seems to be on a bit of a roll. So, it's interesting. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, I think we'd have to be in that play-in situation. I think we're number 8 right now. No, it's interesting. They're really not even that far out of 6. I don't even think they're that far.
There's a bunch of teams bunched up there.
And I don't even think they're that far out of 5. Of course, they're not that far out of 12 either, though. So,
they are technically by percentage. Technically, they're tied with the Clippers, but percentage points they aren't because they played 2 more games.
Okay,
but Clippers are 32-28. Warriors are 32-28. The Wolves are 33-29.
Okay. So,
but then there's also 2 teams behind the Wolves, Sacramento and Dallas, that are half game back.
That is correct. So it's we call that a log jam. Tend to be in the NBA standings. I'd heard that the common refrain, pardon the pun, was the Wolves' schedule was really going to lighten up after they had the couple with Oklahoma City. They played Houston and the Lakers, and that the schedule at that point was going to get soft. And then there was record. They have the third, if you want to say, I don't like to say easy. I like to say least difficult schedule, not the easiest schedule. But there are still some games that I wouldn't consider gimmies tend to be. They still got to play the Nuggets at the Nuggets. They have to play the Pistons, who are as good as anybody right now. The Pistons have been on a roll. They have to play the Nuggets again. They also have a game against the Bucks. They have a game against the Grizzlies. So there, of those, 18 games remaining, 17, 18, 19 games remaining, there's 5 or 6 that are still some formidable opposition that I wouldn't say those are gimmies for the Wolves. So I would find it would, I don't know if I would put it, if the Wolves don't make the playoffs, I don't know if I would put the collapse on the same level as the Twins last year. But I find it hard to believe because when they are healthy, these young kids got a little bit of playing time. They're pretty good, too. They got a nice club. I don't think anybody would deny that. I think the most important thing is keeping a handle on Ant. 16 technical fouls. Got suspended. They lost to Utah. Utah won, 4 games, 8 games, 9 games all season long? They went into that game with 9 wins, and we lose to them. A game they probably should have won without. I mean, I think that's what Krasinski offered up the excuses, but he said despite those excuses, they still should have won. Back-to-back, on the road, missing 3 guys, etc. Even without Ant, they should win that game. I mean, you're playing a team that had won 9 games. They're tanking, for crying out loud, and you lost. And that's one of those games you're just not supposed to lose. And I would think if they play like they're capable of, and Ant doesn't get himself suspended again, right? Because now, did I read the rules right?
Any technical fouls he has now?
Any 2. If he gets 2 technical fouls, he gets another 1-game suspension. Then it restarts in postseason. So, I mean, you'd say, well,
And he made it seem like, just reading the story, I did not watch the game last night, but just reading the story today in the Stars Review, and just made it seem like he had struggles last night of not going after the officials.
Yeah. I'm sure I was reading some of the comment section stuff, right? And it is amazing. The comment sections, whether it's the Athletic, Fish Wrap East, West, ESPN, wherever you look, it seems like there's always 2 camps. And there's the camp that Ant and the Wolves are getting job. Nobody gets more fouls called against them. It's an office. It's a crime. Basically, they need to do an investigation. The officials are terrible. Then you have the others, which I tend to be more with them. That's the way basketball is. It's just the way the sport is. There are going to be times where you feel like the officiating didn't go your way. There are going to be other times that did go your way. What I would like to at least hear from the people that complain about when the officiating goes against the Wolves, there are times it does favor them, but you don't hear that then. Then it was like, well, the game was called fairly then. It's funny how when your team is when your favorite team, when you watch their opposition go to the free throw line more, well, you think the officiating's terrible. When it's not, the officiating is really good. And it's a human nature kind of a thing. When you're Ant and you're throwing F-bombs around and you're talking to these guys and you're giving them a hard time, they do have a quick trigger finger sometimes. They do. They're going to call them on you whether you deserve it or not. That's just part and parcel with the NBA. That's why I think the league is so flawed in so many ways. And one of them is, and I don't always blame the officials. It's a tough game to officiate, man. These are world-class athletes. And when they're playing really hard, they're going up and down the floor at a pretty good pace. There's plenty of physicality going on, not only under the basket and in the paint, but outside of that. And when you have 3 officials, sometimes, like apparently a foul wasn't called on Ant. And then they did a review. Did I read this right? And then at the review, they actually gave the guy not only a foul, but technical 1, or what do they call it? You have degrees of severity for the fouls. And my response to that would be, well, I don't think they had it in for the Wolves. Wolves fans probably think they did. They probably had it in for Ant, and maybe they do somewhat. I still think sometimes an official, when you've got 10 big guys out on the floor and it's fast-paced action, sometimes the position you're in, you don't see the foul. Sometimes your view is blocked. You have 2 players in front. You're trying to get into position. So I don't think it's always intentional. People want to think that when a foul is called against their team, that there's some kind of conspiracy theory with it. And I don't think it's necessarily that. But anyway, Wild today, Timothy, what do you got?
Yeah, this is Wild Today. It's brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild.
Back to long for Spurgeon. Now Zuccarello. Spurgeon activates. Zuccarello in the high slot. Johansson a shot. He scores! Marcus Johansson from the high slot, and the Wild have a 1-0
Yeah, Marcus Johansson's shot deflected off of Frederick Goudreau for the only goal of the game as the Wild snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 1-0 win over the Boston Bruins yesterday afternoon at XL Energy Center. Philip Gustafson made 28 saves for his 4th shutout of the season. The Wild were without defenseman Jonas Brodin, who is week to week with a lower body injury. And it was the beginning of the second stint with the Wild for forward Gustav Nyquist, whom the Wild acquired from Nashville for a second-round pick. The Wild begin a 2-game road trip at Seattle tomorrow night before playing 7 in a row and 10 of their next 11 at home. That was Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, a crowd pleaser since 1795.
The battlefield is set. The stakes are high. The only thing standing between you and victory? Nothing. Ascend to the pinnacle of gaming greatness with Lenovo Legion. Laptops, towers, and the new award-winning Legion Go, the world's first officially licensed handheld, powered by Steam OS. Legion relentlessly pushes gaming technology forward, with towers built for raw, untamed power, laptops with best-in-class AI tuning that sharpen your reflexes, and the Legion Go, a handheld for serious gaming on the go. Stay ahead with lightning-fast responsiveness on a stunning 16-inch PureSight display. Keep your cool with cold front thermal technology engineered for marathon sessions. And with all-day battery life, the game never stops until you say so. So check out Lenovo.com/Legion. Lenovo. Empowering creators everywhere.
Don't let this one get away. The Northwest Sports Show, March 13th through the 16th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Find the newest in fishing and outdoor gear, boats, RVs, travel, power sports, and more. There's no better time to try, buy, and save. And make sure to join 9 to noon's Nordo on Friday the 14th from 4 to 6 p.m. for the Friday Night Fish Fry. Get all the details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Timothy, before we dive into PST, Triple V, Double I, results and pairings, I do have some breaking news. After 60 years, Lou Nanne will not be analyzing on television the Minnesota State Boys High School Hockey Tournament. He will be doing Wild stuff instead. First time in 60 years, and I'm told there will be 3 analysts, Parrish, Clymer, and Gorg, that will rotate. So I just thought I'd break that news. That Louis Nanne, after 60 years, is no longer doing the Minnesota State Boys State High School Hockey Tournament.
Do you have a picture of you and Lou, though?
I don't, though. No,
okay.
I don't.
Well, you might want to get one of those.
Very good.
Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
We're narrowing this down. We go from the Foolish Four to the Doke Duo today. We will have a champion on Wednesday. Here are the results.
North Region, presented by Arthur's Jewelers.
The number 2 seed in the North Region was Myles Garrett. He defended his quarterback, Deshaun Watson, and criticized those who booed him after he was injured. Here's what he said.
Man does pretty much everything right. He's been a model citizen through college and most of the pros.
Myles Garrett went up against our very own Paul Charchi, by the way, the only KFAN personality remaining. Our last shot at a local winner would be Paul Charchi from the
West Region.
He's the number 4 seed. Here's what he said on Fantasy Football Weekly.
You are wrong about the talent. You don't think he has talent? Saquon Barkley is cooked.
Oh, okay.
Let's put some numbers against it.
Oh, okay.
I would much rather have the recently re-upped Ramondre Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have Jonathan Brooks. I'd rather have Zamir White. You know where those guys are going?
Like RB 15 to 20?
Pick 90.
Yeah.
I am so far off Saquon Barkley. To me, we have to get to round 8.
Wow.
He has an ADP of the middle of round 2. I would take Saquon Barkley in round 8.
Relatively close matchup here. 52.7% to 47.3%. Myles Garrett advances. Charch is done. We will have a national winner this year.
Do people not hear what Myles Garrett said? He says, how does he say play it again? Listen to what he says.
Man does pretty much everything right. He's been a
right here.
A model citizen through college and most of the pros.
And most of the pros. That's not provided. For the early part of the pros, it was after. So I don't know why that one. How does Charch? I'm devastated. I so badly want to Charch.
I love that one, too. Yeah.
God, I wanted Charge to win so bad. Oh, well.
Tommy Olson celebrating, though, because the Charge would have been the first person to, on top of Tommy. Tommy is the only one who's ever had 2 Preposterous Statement Tournament championships. Charge could have matched him there with a second one, but Tommy O's popping the champagne today. He's the only 2-time champ.
Correct.
All right, in our other matchup,
East Region.
from the East Region, the number 1 seed is Draymond Green.
The fines, to me, don't make sense. You know, when you talk about as hard as we work to accumulate wealth, coming from situations that most people never make it out, and then you get fined the way we get fined, it's actually not set up for us to be wealthy after we're done playing.
Draymond went up against the number 12 seed from the South Region. That would be Alyssa Milano, who posted a GoFundMe to her followers to raise $10,000 for her son's baseball team to go to Cooperstown. We like to note that her net worth is $10 million. Comment, it's not often we see 74 to 26% in a foolish 4 game, but that's where we're at. Draymond Green destroys Alyssa Milano 74 to 26%. So that means we're down to the Doke duo. You'll be able to vote on this shortly at KFAN 1003 on Twitter or X from the
North Region, presented by Arthur's Jewelers.
It'll be the 2 seed Myles Garrett.
Man does pretty much everything right. He's been a model citizen through college and most of the pros.
And he'll go up against the number 1 seed from the
East Region,
Draymond Green.
The fines, to me, don't make sense. You know, when you talk about as hard as we work to accumulate wealth, coming from situations that most people never make it out, and then you get fined the way we get fined, it's actually not set up for us to be wealthy after we're done playing.
That's it.
Now, let me add something to that, Genevieve. I just Googled which NBA player has been fined the most money in the history of the NBA. Who do you think it was, and how much do you think it is?
Fined the most?
In NBA history, the most. I
thought it was Rasheed Wallace, wasn't it?
Not according to what I did. I know. Are you? Don't cheat. Can you guess?
I'm not. I'm putting up the poll.
Oh, I thought you were cheating.
At KFAN. No.
I didn't mean cheating. I just thought you were going to look it up. Ben Simmons, $19 million he's been fined.
Was that because of not showing up to...
Correct.
Yeah.
$19 million. So I thought, well, maybe Draymond's right. Then I went ahead and Googled Ben Simmons' net worth. And according to Celebrity Net Worth, he has a net worth of $80 million. So I guess he'd be worth, again, there's taxation without representation, blah, blah, blah. But if you just do the simple math and add the $19 million, he would be worth $100 million. I still think $80 million is very wealthy. And that, we know $30 million, speaking of PST, former PS preposterous statement winners, we know $30 million won't get you to the grave, foo.
No.
But I got to think $80 million will. So they're on it right there is proof positive that despite the fact that the way the NBA fines people, it is set up that you can accumulate wealth even with that many fines. Because think about that. That's $80 million he has, and he's been fined $19 million over the years. So take it for what it's worth.
Just because he didn't want to show up and play basketball.
Think about it.
You can vote right now. The poll is available at KFAN 1003 on Twitter or X.
Should we do the 1 o'clock segment now?
Sure, you covered most of it, but we can get into some of it.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hit, hooray! Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
Phil Miller did a story on Byron Buxton in the Star Tribune over the weekend where Buxton said, quote, "My goal is to finish with the Twins. That's been my goal since I got drafted, and now I'm sure it's something you don't see a lot, a guy staying with one team, but that's special to me, and this team is special. I can't see myself anyplace else in any other uniform." Common. Will Byron Buxton finish his career with the Minnesota Twins?
I'm going to have to take his word for it. I don't know. I mean, and I think he has a no trade clause. So if the Twins, sometimes it's not in your control. You can say, like, Tenby, I'd like to retire here from the fan. It's not always in my control, right? Byron Buxton, I think, has a no trade clause. So any team, and it's for all, I think, the other 29 teams or however many there are in Major League Baseball. So he could turn down any trade request the Twins made. Though in those cases, I would think if a team came to you and said, I know you got a no trade clause, but we'd love to get rid of you. I would be the kind of, you don't want me anymore? That's fine. I don't want to be somewhere I'm not wanted. I admire it to a certain extent because, how often do you see it tend to be where a player is with a team for a long time? Matt Stafford's a prime example. And the Twins really haven't been much more successful with Byron Buxton than the Lions were with Matty Stafford. Because the Lions qualified for the playoffs, I think, 3 different times with Matt Stafford at quarterback, which is about how many times the Twins have qualified for the playoffs with Byron Buxton, right? And Stafford, and I don't remember all the particulars, but I think part of the reason Detroit parted ways is I think he wanted to, and as good as he was for Detroit, it's like, maybe it is time for us to go in a different direction. We can get some draft picks for him. Maybe it's time to part ways. It just hasn't gotten us to where we want to be. So maybe someday Byron gets to the point where, let's say 2 years from now, he's like, God, I watch all these my peers, other players, not only making postseason, but advancing to league championship series and heaven forbid get to a World Series. He may change his mind, but right now he says he'd like to be there. And I do admire that in a guy, though you can always say, well, I'd also like a guy that wants to win somewhere. But loyalty, it's not as big as it used to be. Your thoughts on it?
Well, was he got 4 years left on his contract?
I think it's 4, yeah.
He's 31. Most MLB players that still have something going for them can still play past 35. So
correct.
Now, that being said, I thought, man, I wish I could remember this. I thought there was like a year or 2 or 3 years, like a year or two ago, Buxton had kind of some cryptic comments about
I think he may
just playing out the contract and being done. So I guess if Byron Buxton is planning on retiring in 4 years, then I think there's a pretty darn good chance he does it with the same franchise. But if he gets through his contract and still wants to play baseball, then you don't know, right? I mean, he could, especially with the penny pinching that we've seen in the past, depending on who the new owners are at the time, and a lot's going to change from a culture standpoint. But I thought he made a weird, cryptic retirement comment. It might have been like a year ago at this time about, I just want to play out. I just want to get to the end of the contract. And with how many injury stuff he's had going on, he might be one of those guys that's not playing until he's 37, 38, 39.
Yeah.
So I guess it is.
He might not even be able to just physically if he continues on the, if last year, do I have this right? Did he play more games last year than he has in like years, right? I mean, there were years where he was barely playing at all. But if he continues to have this injury-riddled career.
He played 102 last year.
Yeah. Which is, again, that ain't Lou Gehrig Ironman, right? It ain't Cal Ripken. So you could get to a point as a player, like let's say he has another injury-riddled season, and the chances probably are greater he will than he won't. If he has another injury-riddled season this year and then another one last year, after a while, do you just say, this is frustrating, I can't get anything out of you don't want to turn down the money, but after a while, you play out this last 4 years, there might not be anybody that wants you because they're going, you can't stay on the field. So that he might not even have an option at that point. And you may just say, I'm tired of it. I've made a lot of money. I'm not playing a lot. I can't stay healthy. So what's the point of even playing? He brought up was it 2 or 3 Minnesota Twins that have also played their entire career here? Tony Oliva did, Joe Mauer. Mm-hmm. Was there a third? I thought in the story.
There was a third. I don't remember. I remember Oliva and Mauer.
Yeah, played their entire careers here in Minnesota, which there's something to be said for that. But I think most players would say, you want a 12-year career with one team and no championships, or would you rather play 3 different teams and get a ring? I think a lot of guys would rather there's so many guys that went and chased them too, which I know can be frustrating as a fan. I mean, how many guys? Durantula did it at OKC. I mean, we could probably start right now listing players that left a team that that they'd been with for a number of years, team that probably still wanted them, and they just decided, I want to move on. I want a chance to go win a championship somewhere. It happens all the time, so hard for me to blame.
How about this? 4 stars in the 4 teams. Let's just call Buxton a star.
Mm-hmm.
Buxton, Kaprizov, Jefferson, Ant. Which of those 4 is most likely to play for their current team the rest of their career? Just play for one team.
Buxton, Kaprizov, Ant, and who?
Jefferson. JJ.
Kaprizov.
Think so?
Yeah.
Big contract extension coming this summer.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty significant. Either he's committed or he's not.
I don't know. If they give him how many years has he been in the league? 4? 5? I don't even know how many more. There are only 3.
I think he's been more than, yeah. You're probably right with 4 or 5.
So 4 or 5. And what would this, if he were to sign an extension here, how many years?
Oh, he's going to get I would think he'd get the 8-year max.
Okay. Well, so now he's got 13 years under his belt. Why would he? I guess he could leave. But that just seems if he were to sign the 8-year extension, I would think he closes out his career here, but I don't know.
This is his 5th season.
I think Jefferson means well. And, if you take Buxton at his word, then it's Buxton, right? So I guess let me change that. I'll say Buxton because he said so.
He's the oldest of the group.
Yeah.
He's the furthest along.
Yeah, and he said so.
Yeah.
I could see where JJ could end up getting a little bit like Diggs after a while, and I wouldn't blame him. I mean, if you're the best wide receiver in pro football, and it looks like you're going to be legendary, and you just postseason doesn't go very well. You don't get to conference championship games. You don't get a chance to win a big game. That's what a lot of these guys play for at that point. When you've had the wine, the women, and song, but you don't have a ship, right? And then the other was Ant. Yeah, who knows with Ant? I don't know what he'd want. I think Ant would eventually get frustrated too and want to go somewhere. I think basketball is the one sport where it seems like they do that more than anything.
Steph Curry's the minority.
Yeah, because in basketball, that one player moving to another team can give you a really good chance at winning a championship. For instance, let's say Edwards decided, I know he's not a free, but let's say he was a free agent after this year. And he signs a deal with Denver. Signs a deal with the Lakers. Suddenly it's Doncic, LeBron, and Edwards. You're the odds-on favorite to win the NBA championship,
sure.
Right? I mean, it just is. And so one guy can make that big of a difference. Hockey, I don't know. Football, unless it's the quarterback, I don't know if one guy can make that big of a difference where moves to one team. And unless that team is like one player away, right? I mean, is there a hockey team out there that's a Kaprizov away from taking it to
there's
to
a lot of teams
level?
that are Kaprizov away.
Yeah, but just Kaprizov away, though. Well, I'm saying one player away. In other words, if you took Kaprizov and put him on team A, B, or C, that team immediately becomes a Stanley Cup contender.
Kaprizov is arguably a top 5 player in the world. I mean, he was an MVP candidate before he got hurt. So I think there's many teams that you add a Kaprizov to your team and you're in business.
How does this work with his deal? You have to?
Well, he's got 1 year left on it. After the season, he's got 1 year left on his contract.
But I mean, after that, he doesn't have to sign if he doesn't want to.
No,
right?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you want to get the deal done this summer,
right.
You don't want him going into the last year of his contract unsigned, because if he is going to leave, you would like to trade him and get something in return for a guy of that stature leaving, which the Wild failed to with Marion Gaborik. They let him go to free agency and got nothing for it. So either you sign him to a contract extension this year, which is going to be the max. It'll be 8 years. It'll probably be $13, $14 million. And if he doesn't sign, because Leopold's already said, hey, we're gonna pay him more than anymore. He's gonna get more money here than he'll get anywhere else. So it ain't about money at that point. That means he just wants to go somewhere he feels like either wants to live somewhere else or thinks someone else is a better contender. At that point, he's gone, so you need to trade him.
Do you or Russo have a feel for it? What he's thinking? Has he tipped his hand at all?
Russo has made references over the last year that it's not a gimme that he comes back.
Speaking of Gabrick, I was on a mass text with Boob, Worlds, Cleve, and Kennedy Park guy. I sent him a picture of all my boot hockey gear laying out on the floor in a picture, and it just said boot. We're thinking of putting the old band back together. We're all in our 60s, right? And so to go to Coon Rapids Snowflake Days and try to contend with the young kids would be difficult. So we're trying to
You need to find like an over 60 division or an over 50 division.
Well, I asked that. I don't think they have a super senior division or a senior division or a grand masters division, right? So we probably have to get a ringer or two. And the question that came up was, I said I know Walls, though then I did say, well, I beat him in golf not long ago, so I'm a better athlete than Walls, so I don't know if he makes the difference. And somebody asked if Walls knew Gabrick. And if Gabrick would want to come and play boot with us. But I think he's back in Europe now,
yeah, I don't think he lives here.
So, and I don't know where he lives. Somebody else suggested Louis. But I think Louis, I don't know what he has. I mean, Louis, I love him, and I think he's healthy, but I don't know if he could play boot at this point. Now, if you wanted to have him as kind of like the GM of our club, that might be a difference. But then he might want to get Lawton here instead. Who did we not take instead of Lawton? We took Lawton and passed on. Who was it?
Who was that? It wasn't Steve Yzerman, was it?
I think it might have been Yzerman, yeah. I think it was.
I feel like, or was that before his time?
No, I think it was Yzerman. I think that is right. Is Lawton around? Do you think Parrish would play boot hockey with us? Does Parrish have anything left?
Pat LaFontaine went. Yzerman went 4. Yeah. Pat LaFontaine went 3. The guys who went 3, 4, and 5 are all NHL Hall of Famers.
So then I don't know if I want Louis as the GM. No offense, I love Louis. But you know what the thing is, Tenby? He's not going to be busy with the Minnesota State High School hockey tournament. I have some breaking news.
Really?
Louis Nanny will, after 60 years, will not be doing the Minnesota State Boys High School hockey tournament on television. Oh my gosh. Heard it here first. Yep. Would you play boot with us? Because your name came up.
You're breaking up.
Why not?
It's not the best time to be setting up a boot hockey tournament.
We're
March
talking about
3rd.
for next year.
Next year?
No, next year for 2026 Snowflake Days. Yeah, we're not ready to play right now. They all want to say that they have no doubts in my goaltending, but the last 2 games we played, I was awful. I don't even know. I mean, and I know they're all being nice to me. And they're going to give me an you're the goalie. No, I have all the trust in the world. But if we want to play some at least a few practice games before then. And if I'm struggling, it probably won't be my choice. They'll have to say you're out. But I would never. If I'm not any good, I'm not going to say, oh no, it'll get better once we start playing. I'm out. We'll at least give you a tryout if you think you can make the club. Would Leo be interested?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Leo would love to.
How old's Leo now?
He's 10.
He's going to be 11 next year? Who's the smallest guy to ever play in the NHL, I wonder? Height-wise, weight-wise.
Good question. Leo was just asking me about Muggsy Bogues today this morning. I had to show him Muggsy Bogues videos. Really? Yeah, I don't know where he got Muggsy Bogues from. So I showed him Muggsy Bogues videos and videos of Spud Webb in the dunk contest.
Very cool. It was Kirby Puckett was the other one he mentioned.
Yeah.
And then Herbeck played his whole career here, too. I don't know if I'd put Herbeck on the same level as Puckett. And I know, I love you, Kent, as Oliva. And
Kent was pretty good, though.
He was very good. Career. Oh, he was.
Yeah.
If I'm ranking the players, I wouldn't put him in Oliva's category, but that's another story.
Well, I don't know if I'd put Maurer in Puckett's category either.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Here come all the sabermetric analytic people that are going to get mad at that now.
Maurer is in the Hall of Fame, though.
He is.
He is an HOFer. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Another jam-packed hour to go. Want to talk some more National Football League stuff, Tenby. We'll do that next. Common Man program on the Fan.
Creativity doesn't wait. It moves, shifts, evolves, just like you. And with the Yoga PC from Lenovo, your tools finally keep up. Stunning, smart, and sustainably sourced. Yoga PCs from Lenovo are designed to amplify your creativity with AI-powered performance. Whether you're sketching, editing, animating, or composing, yoga moves with you, adapting to your creativity, to your rhythm. With beautiful displays and the flexibility to shift from laptop to tablet, yoga unlocks new ways to inspire and create. Because at Lenovo, we believe your tools should fuel your flow, not hold you back. Yoga PCs from Lenovo support you at every step of your creative journey. So check out lenovo.com/yoga and supercharge your creativity with yoga. Lenovo. Empowering creators everywhere.